The rain hit my windshield like tiny bullets, each one harder than the last. Divorce papers sat in the passenger seat, waiting. Like a loaded gun I was too scared to fire. 2 years of marriage, and I was done. She'd stopped talking, stopped smiling, stopped looking at me like I mattered. I thought she didn't love me anymore. Hell, maybe she found someone else. My hand shook over the pen. One signature, and everything we built would disappear. Then, it happened. Through the open window, I heard her voice, soft, broken, saying something that made my heart stop cold. That was the moment everything changed. If you've ever stood on the edge of losing someone you love, this story is for you. Hit subscribe, because what I heard next might just save your marriage too. The TV murmurs, fork to plate, glass to wood, sounds you only hear when words have left the room. Lauren scrolls, blue light washing her face the way winter washes a street, clean, cold, empty. I study that glow like it might tell me what I can't ask. How was your day? I lift the question like something fragile. Fine. Her eyes slide back to the phone like gravity lives there. I try again. Maybe a movie? Something dumb? We could laugh? I'm just tired. 3 quiet words, heavy as a shut door. No argument to grab, no edge to hold. Just nothing. The casserole cools between us. I set my fork down and stare at my wedding ring. It used to feel like home. Tonight it feels like evidence. I stop. The word feels too naked. I chew it back and it scrapes all the way down. She stands, rinses her plate, the phone still in her hand. The house hums. My chest doesn't. Down the hall, a bathroom fan kicks on. Water runs. Her screen flashes against the doorway. One brief pulse I can't unsee. I follow the sound of it like a dog follows a whistle. When the water shuts off, the only thing left is that glow, and the question it throws across the floor. When did I become smaller than a phone? I push back my chair and head for the bedroom. But that blue glow? It wasn't the last thing I'd see that night. It was only the first warning. Same blanket, different weather. She turns away, an inch that feels like a mile. The mattress caves where her body is, a small valley I can't cross. The hallway light cuts a thin ribbon across the carpet. I lie there counting her breaths, pretending rhythm means we're okay. Her phone rests face down, a black stone on the nightstand. It buzzes, one short tremor through the wood. Her hand finds it without looking, like muscle memory. The screen lights her cheekbones, and for a second I see everything at once. The softness I fell for, the stress she carries, the distance I can't name. Lauren, I whisper, are we okay? She freezes. Then, I'm tired. Softer. Safer. A word you can hide behind. I shift closer, not touching, just near enough to feel the warmth of her shoulder and pretend warmth means welcome. Another buzz. She brings the phone to her chest the way people cradle secrets. On the black glass, my reflection wobbles. Ghosted. Warped. Not the man she married. I lean in to kiss her hair, to ask for a map back to us. A tiny sound cuts the room clean. A single, final click. The screen goes dark. So do my excuses. I lie on my back staring at the ceiling, the silence loud as thunder, and make a promise I can taste. Tomorrow, I start finding answers. But the answers waiting for me weren't about her. They were about the man I was becoming. Morning bleeds into a gray evening. I'm rinsing dishes when her phone lights the room with that cold, blue flare. A little smile tugs at her mouth. Quick, almost guilty. The kind of smile people save for someone who knows them better than you do. The screen shows unknown, no name, just a string of numbers. I angle my eyes without turning my head, a move I'm not proud of. A preview flashes and vanishes. 3 words, clean as a knife. I miss you. My chest drops, like an elevator cut loose. She taps, the light dies, and I'm left with my own reflection in the window. Older, duller, a man standing next to a life that no longer sees him. I dry my hands on a towel that still smells like our detergent and try to breathe through the sting. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's everything. She walks past me to the living room, phone in her palm the way people carry a passport. Proof there's a world beyond this house. I hover in the doorway, swallowed by the TV's empty drone. The words, "I miss you," grind across my brain until they spark. My pride says leave it. My gut says no. I grab my keys. If I can't ask her, I'll ask someone who's already lived the worst-case scenario. After work, I slide into a booth that smells like fries and old decisions. Jake's already there, 2 beers sweating on cardboard coasters, divorce guy posture, wide shoulders, hollow eyes. "You look like hell," he says, handing me the cold glass. I tell him about the smile, the unknown number, the 3 words that hit like a shovel. He listens, jaw ticking. "Don't be a fool," he says finally, low and flat. "People don't hide things they're proud of." He takes a long pull and leans in. "You want peace? Find truth. Stop dying by inches." I tell him I don't want to be that guy, the snoop, the cop in his own marriage. He shrugs. "You want to be the guy who got played?" The lights over the bar flicker, all neon and shadows. He tells me how he missed signs, how kindness turned him into a doormat, how the day he checked was the day he stopped bleeding. "Protect yourself," he says. "Set a line. If she's crossing it, you'll know." I stare at the beer, the bubbles racing nowhere, and feel something harden inside my chest. Fear, maybe, or backbone. When we stand to leave, he claps my shoulder. "Get answers." Outside, the night feels colder. I unlock the truck, sit in the dark, and decide, no more guessing. Tomorrow, I start digging. I sit in my truck outside the house and Google what men Google when they're scared. An article pops up. Emotional cheating, 10 signs you can't ignore. I scroll through a checklist like a man checking his own pulse. Guarded phone? Check. Sudden privacy? Check. Smiles at messages you never see? Check. Late night scrolling? Daylight distance? I'm tired. Every time you reach across the space between you. Check, check, check. Each line lands like a small hammer on soft wood. I start matching the bullets to moments in our kitchen, our hallway, our bed. I think of that text. 3 words. "I miss you," and the way her shoulders eased when she read it. My chest tightens like a fist I can't unclench. The article says emotional affairs start with small exits, tiny doors. I picture all the doors in our house and how often I've watched her step through them alone. The sky goes from gray to black. I'm still reading, still feeding the worst part of me, convincing myself knowledge is protection when it feels more like gasoline. I whisper it out loud just to hear how it sounds in air. She has every sign. The words fog the windshield, then disappear, but the thought doesn't. I pocket my phone, walk inside, and aim for dinner like a man walking into a test he already failed. I talk first, because that's what you do when you're trying to pretend everything's fine. "Crazy day," I say. "Server crash, client yelling, you know the drill." I toss out a small joke about IT and duct tape. It lands with a soft thud. "Nice," she says, eyes on the plate. 1 word, a courtesy, not a bridge. I try again. Something about Jake, something about a game on Sunday. "Maybe," she answers, then slips her phone onto the chair beside her like a second guest. Fork on plate, knife on ceramic. The sounds are dry, like there's no sauce left in us. My side of the casserole cools. Her side barely moves. The glow hits her cheek and she angles away. "Everything okay?" I ask. "I'm just tired." 3 words again. This time they feel rehearsed. A buzz cuts the table in half. She stands. "1 sec." The chair across from me sits empty, catching the light. I stare at it and think about how absence has a shape. Minutes stretch. The food dies. The TV mutters from the other room like it's talking to the chair. She comes back, eyes damp but hard. "Sorry." No explanation, no path back. I stack her plate on mine, carry both to the sink, and blink away the burn. Tomorrow, I tell myself, I'll stop pretending this is normal. Water starts up down the hall, a steady rush that makes the house feel hollow. She walks past me with her phone in her hand, takes it into the bathroom like a passport you never let go. The fan kicks on. I stand in the doorway of our bedroom, not moving, not brave enough to follow, not smart enough to walk away. A glow leaks under the door, one clean pulse, then another. I step closer. My shadow stretches across the tile like it's trying to reach her before I do. Another vibration. I catch a glimpse when she cracks the door for steam. Appointment. Just that. No name, no clue. My heart drops, slow and heavy, like a tool you can't catch. I touch the frame with 2 fingers the way a kid touches a hot stove, needing to know and hating that I need it. Lauren, I say, low. Nothing. With who? I whisper, barely more than breath. Silence. Only the water answering me, and the fan chewing up the seconds. I swallow the taste of metal and step back. The door closes again with a soft click that feels final. The light goes dim. The house feels louder. I'm left staring at the line of brightness at the bottom of the door and the man-shaped shadow I can't stand to look at. When the water stops, I'm already walking toward the mirror. I flick on the bathroom light in the guest room and meet a version of me I don't like. Old shirt from some company picnic hangs wrong on my shoulders. Belly I keep promising I'll fix pushes against the cotton. Gray shows up at my temples like dust nobody bothered to wipe. I lean closer and see the tired in my eyes, the kind you can't sleep away. On the shelf, a framed photo from our wedding day, her bright laugh, my clean jawline, 2 people who thought the future was just a bigger room. I look from that picture to my reflection and feel a small, nasty tug I don't want to name. Maybe I'm boring now. Maybe I got soft. Maybe some younger guy with a gym membership texts appointment and makes her smile the way I used to. I lift my shirt and pinch the fat. It stings. I button the collar to hide my neck. The glass doesn't care. Maybe I'm not enough, I say to the man who looks like me and doesn't. The words land in the sink like loose change, small, embarrassing, real. I shut off the light and the room goes dark, but the feeling stays. Down the hall, I hear her open a drawer. I stand in the dark and decide something has to change, even if it's just me. I slide closer on the edge of the bed and lay my hand on her shoulder, gentle, like I'm setting down a glass I don't want to break. She flinches, barely, but I feel it like a slap. I'm tired, she whispers, and the words hang there, small and cold. 10 centimeters of space between us turn into 10 miles of empty road. The clock on the nightstand ticks loud enough to count the seconds I've been losing her. I try again, thumb tracing a circle at the top of her arm, a mute apology, a tired prayer. Her body goes still, polite, distant, the kind of still that says don't. I pull my hand back and the air where we used to live together goes flat. I miss you. Almost makes it out. It doesn't. Pride swallows it whole. I roll onto my back and stare at the ceiling until my eyes blur and the room doubles. I turn away from her face, from the line of her spine, from the truth I don't want. The hurt sneaks up anyway. It comes quiet, hot, stupid. I press my fist against my mouth to keep it in. The clock keeps ticking. She breathes steady. I face the wall and let the tears come where she can't see. In the morning, I tell myself, I won't feel this helpless. In the morning, I'll find proof. Morning light is honest in a way people aren't. I sit at the kitchen table with my coffee and open our shared calendar like a man opening a door he isn't sure he should. Colored blocks stack the month, work shifts, dentist, payday, nothing that explains the last few weeks. I flip to emails, bills. Grocery receipt from Saturday slides across my screen, long and boring. Milk, eggs, paper towels. Then a line that skims my brain and cuts back around. Pregnancy test. I blink, scroll up, scroll down, as if the letters will rearrange into something safer. My stomach tightens. I picture a dozen whys I can't afford to say out loud. Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe it's for a friend. Maybe it's not about me. The thought lands like a rock. I laugh once, no humor in it, and rub my eyes until fireworks pop. I tell myself not to overreact, and then react anyway. I check the credit charges, the timestamps, the store address. Everything lines up. I close the laptop and stare at the surface of my coffee, a dark mirror that doesn't answer back. The house is quiet, too clean, too calm. If she won't talk, the paper will. If the paper won't, the phone will. I stand, gather the receipts into a neat stack with hands that won't stop shaking, and feel the suspicion kick from inside my ribs like a boot. I open Find My with this kind of shame that burns and do it anyway. The little green dot blinks where Lauren should be. School, then home, the same loop most days. Today the dot slips off the familiar line, takes a quiet right I've never seen. My thumb zooms. Street names I don't recognize slide under my skin. The dot slows. A label blooms on the map. Medical center. Another nudge in, and the words I don't want. Waiting room. My palm goes slick against the phone. I wipe it on my jeans, zoom out, zoom back in, as if distance could change truth. The dot stops. I hear my own pulse over the air vent, steady and wrong. 5 minutes pass. 10, 15. I watch numbers in the corner. Miles, minutes, battery, count down like a fuse. Every second I'm not asking her is a second I can't take back. I tell myself there are 100 reasons to be there. Flu shots, a friend, anything. The dot doesn't care. It just sits, patient, glowing over a room I'm not in. My jaw tightens until it clicks. I try to breathe through the pinch at the base of my skull. Another minute. Another. The screen dims. I wake it with my thumb like I'm keeping a heart alive. The dot holds, and the thought lands, heavy, final, ugly as a brick through glass. She lied. I take a corner booth and put a notebook between me and the rest of the world. 2 columns. Stay, leave. Under stay, I write. History, vows, the way she used to laugh with her whole face. Under leave, I write. Sleep, peace, no more guessing. The pen digs hard enough to groove the paper. I spin my ring with my other hand and listen to the paper cup go cold. Prose turn into questions, questions into receipts, lawyer fees, split furniture, empty holidays, the house without her voice, the bed without her side. I try to picture freedom and only see rooms with more echo. My phone lights up with an old photo of us. Beach wind, bad sunglasses, happiness so easy it hurts to look at. I flip the page. I list the last month in bullet points. Guarded phone, unknown number. Appointment, medical center. The green dot holding still. Each line lands like a stamp I can't peel off. The ring keeps spinning, metal whispering against Formica. Pride says I walk. Fear says I'll crawl back. The cup leaves a wet circle on the paper, a stain where the middle should be. My phone buzzes again. Jake. 2 sentences, no cushion. You ready to walk? I pull up an old album on my phone, the one I've avoided for months. There we are on that June afternoon, her laughing with her whole face, me looking like the luckiest man alive. I can hear the promise in our voices even without sound. I remember the vows we wrote ourselves, shaky and simple. I'll trust you, I said, thumb brushing the back of her hand. I'll stay, she answered, eyes steady like a dare. We did our first dance in shoes that hurt and didn't care. Friends tossed paper confetti that stuck in my hair and her veil, and we kept laughing like the world was small and kind. I swipe, and the photos roll like a reel I didn't know I kept loaded. The kiss, the toast, her head on my shoulder at midnight, the look that said, home. I'll trust you. 2 words that used to fit in my mouth like air. The screen goes black and throws my reflection back at me. Older, heavier, a man counting data points like they're facts. The house around me is quiet enough to hear the refrigerator hum. I sit in that dark and wonder when promises turn into evidence against you. I press the power button again and stare at her smile frozen in pixels. The space between then and now feels like a cliff. Somewhere in the other room, a notification dings. I don't move. Then I do. Email. Subject line, statement available. I tap it open because that's what I do now. Hunt for the thing that will make sense of the ache. The clinic logo loads slow. My eyes scan columns until a name hits like a cold hand to the neck. Dr. Ramirez. Next line, OBGYN. Below that, items I don't want to read but do anyway. Consultation, labs, follow-up. I scroll down to the date and time and my brain draws a straight line to the green dot that sat at the medical center like it had nowhere else to be. I tell myself to breathe. Maybe there's another reason. Maybe this is nothing. Maybe it's a friend's bill on our email, a mistake, a glitch. The word that keeps coming back is one I don't say out loud. Pregnancy. The bottom drops out of my chest. If it's ours, why the secrets? If it's not, I feel the floor tilt. I take a screenshot before I can think better and stare at the thumbnail, my own hands shaking in the reflection on the glass. For a second, I want to delete it and go back to being unsure. Instead, I send it to Jake with 2 words I hate the feel of. Told you. 3 dots appear, vanish, appear again. My phone buzzes once, mean and final. Now you know, he texts. I don't. Not really. But the room knows. My body knows. And something hard in me sets like concrete. Something in me sets after that bill. I start answering with 1-word bricks. Yep. Nope. Fine. Doors close a little harder. Drawers too. I stop asking how her day was. I stop volunteering mine. I move around her in the kitchen like she's a chair, not a person. When she reaches for me with small talk, I let it fall. I unfriend my own feelings, mute the part of me that wants to beg. Silence becomes a tool, then a weapon. If she notices, good. If it hurts, good. We pass in the hallway, and my shoulder brushes the paint instead of her sweater. I eat at the counter. She eats at the table. 2 islands, same room. She says, "Is everything okay?" I sip water and look past her. Busy. The word leaves frost on the air. Later I hear the soft clatter of a spoon in the sink, the kind of sound that belongs to a person trying not to be loud. I walk in for more water I don't want and catch her at the counter with her head bowed, shoulders shaking. Not a movie cry, a quiet, real one. For a beat, the old part of me steps forward. Then the concrete part drags it back. I open the fridge just to do something with my hands, take the cold I deserve, close it, and walk away while she's still wiping her face. I lie awake and let the dark count me. 1:47, 2:03. At 2:14 a.m., moonlight cuts a thin edge across the dresser. My phone lights the ceiling with that sick blue glow. Appointment confirmed. Date, time, address. The same clinic. My chest knots so tight it steals the breath on the way in. I hold the phone above my face until my arm shakes, then bring it close like it might confess if I'm gentle. I think about waking her up and tearing the truth out, ugly and quick. I think about the man I used to be, and the man texting Jake now. My thumb opens the browser on instinct. Divorce lawyer near me. The letters sit there like a dare. Autocomplete does half the work. I picture an office with leather chairs and practiced sympathy. I picture Christmases split into halves. I picture peace like a blank wall. The search bar blinks, patient. I feel stupid, small, 42, and tired of feeling stupid and small. I close the tab, open it, close it again. The house hums. She turns over. The bed gives a little. I erase the words and stare at the empty bar until the phone dims. Somewhere between anger and fear, a voice I barely recognize says, "Not like this." I set the phone down, eyes burning, and start rehearsing the hardest sentence I know. We need to talk. For when the sun finally shows up. Morning makes everything look honest and tired. I find her in the kitchen, hair pulled back, coffee steam lifting into a quiet room. My mouth is dry, but I say it anyway. We need to talk. She goes still, shoulders inching up like she's bracing for weather. Please not now, she says, eyes on the mug, not me. The words hang there, heavy and wet. I hear a car hiss past on the street, tires dragging along the morning. The fridge hums. The clock on the stove clicks from 7:29 to 7:30 like it's clearing its throat. I try again. Lauren. She shakes her head, just once, a small no that says more than a speech. I have to go, she adds, softer, as if kindness could make it hurt less. Silence swells until I feel it on my skin. I step sideways, put a palm against the hallway wall to steady myself, and something inside me snaps. My fist taps the drywall, barely a hit, more a frustrated hello, and regret floods in before the sound fades. Sorry, I say, Immediate, automatic. She flinches anyway, not from pain, just from me. She slides past, bag on shoulder, the smell of her shampoo, a punch I didn't see coming. The door latches behind her with a clean little click. I stand in the kitchen with my apology dying in my throat and realize the talk I rehearsed all night never even got born. I decide I won't let the day end the same way. She's home late, eyes rimmed red like someone erased sleep from her. I meet her in the hallway and put out my hand, simple, open, the bridge I should have built sooner. She pauses, then angles her body so my fingers catch air. It's not dramatic. It's worse. It's practiced. "Lauren," I try, gentler than I feel. She swallows. "I'm tired," she says, and it's the third time that sentence has felt like a verdict. She moves toward the bedroom. I follow, not close enough to crowd, close enough to hope. At the doorway she turns, eyes glossy but hard at the edges. For a second I see the girl who laughed confetti out of her hair. Then the second dies. The door swings. The latch meets the frame. A small gust of air kisses my face as it shuts. On the wall, our wedding photo trembles, the glass ticking against the frame. I steady it with 2 fingers and stare at the stranger smiling back at me. This is the part where I'm supposed to be patient, noble, some kind of saint. Instead, I walk to the kitchen table and slide my thumb under my ring. It resists, then gives. The metal leaves a pale circle on my skin. I set the ring down in front of me. It looks heavier off my hand than on it. The house is so quiet I can hear my own heart knocking. If I can't reach her through a door, I tell myself, I'll reach the truth another way. I print the papers at work because it feels less real under fluorescent lights. Pages slide out warm, legal words stacked like bricks. My name, her name, the boxes that turn a life into check marks. I sign a draft just to see my hand do it. The pen digs a groove, like the paper's skin, and I'm pressing too hard. I slip everything into a manila envelope, thick and ugly, and carry it to the parking lot like a package I don't want delivered but will. It goes into the glove compartment with the manuals and the tire gauge, things you keep for emergencies. At home, the driveway is a black tongue pointing at the street. No car, no lights in the front window. I sit behind the wheel and listen to the engine tick cool, to my own breath making clouds on the glass. I tell myself I'm not quitting. I'm choosing peace. I'm choosing air I can breathe. The envelope thumps when I tap it, heavier than it should be. I imagine the receptionist at a law office stapling our history into a neat little file. My phone lights up the dashboard with the time. Late, later, too late to keep bleeding like this. I close the glove box, feel the latch catch, and let the quiet settle. Tomorrow, I say into the empty truck, each syllable slow, certain. Tomorrow, I'll end this. On the drive to work, my father's voice rides shotgun. Men don't cry. Handle it. Don't make a scene. I try to wear those words like armor. They itch. Jake texts, protect yourself. Don't be a fool. I picture him alone in his apartment, trophies of caution on every shelf. A billboard flashes past. Smiling faces, new starts, a dating app selling clean exits for the price of a swipe. The pitch is simple. You don't have to stay when it hurts. I grip the wheel until my knuckles pale. I tell myself I'm strong. Strong means staying calm. Strong means staying silent. Strong means walking away before someone walks you. The cab of the truck turns into a small stone room. The more I say strong, the smaller I feel. I think about Lauren's quiet yes on our wedding day, about the word trust in my own mouth, and how easy it is to forget promises when you're bleeding. At a red light, I catch my reflection in the rear view, jaw set, eyes flat. I don't look brave. I look numb. I whisper the truth I've been dodging. I chose armor over love. It sounds tough and tastes like rust. The light turns green. I move because that's what men do. Forward, steady, empty. And yet, under all that stone, something still knocks, asking if this is the kind of man I wanted to be. The open office is a beehive with no honey. Keyboards clatter, chairs squeak. Laughter erupts 2 rows over about something small and safe. My inbox feels like a sink someone forgot to turn off. Slack pings stack up until the sound is just one long nerve. I answer 3 emails I don't remember writing and watch new ones climb on top like they're breeding. My eyes go fuzzy at the edges. The monitor doubles for a blink, then snaps back. A notification slides up. Calendar. Appointment confirmed. My pulse hits my throat. I close it so fast the window stutters. I try to breathe into the shape of the task list in front of me. Tickets, deadlines, a sprint board that never stops sprinting. It doesn't work. My wallpaper flashes on a lock. Lauren laughing into sunlight from a day when the world was light and easy. The image feels like a joke I'm not in on anymore. "Hey, got a sec?" Someone asks behind me. I nod without turning. Another ping. Another ask. I look at my hands on the keyboard and realize they're not listening to me. They're typing out of habit, a body running the ghost of a root. I shut the laptop. The sound is soft, final. I stand up and grab my jacket like a man leaving a fire drill nobody called. Heads turn. I don't explain. I can't. I walk out with my chest tight and the afternoon air hitting me like cold water. I need answers more than I need this desk. Wipers drag rain across the windshield in slow, tired arcs. The radio coughs up a call-in show about divorce, hosts with warm voices talking about clean breaks and putting yourself first. A billboard flashes a lawyer's grin and a 1-800 number that promises the pain will be organized. I tighten my grip on the wheel until my fingers pale. The truck smells like coffee and old arguments. Traffic crawls past a strip mall, a church sign, a school zone that reminds me what promises sound like when they're small. I kill the radio. Silence fills the cab, thick and honest. The GPS arrow creeps toward home like it knows something I don't. I pass the light where we used to joke about bad drivers and catch myself laughing once, dry and mean. Another billboard, same grin, different slogan. Start over today. The words stick like gum. I roll my shoulders, breathe through my teeth, keep moving. The clouds hang low over the neighborhood, mailboxes in a row like helmets. Then the house appears at the bend, the one we painted ourselves, the one that still holds our first night in the walls. My chest goes tight enough to sting. I pull into the driveway and let the engine idle down. The wipers stop mid-swipe, a wet blade frozen in place. I shut the truck off. The world gets very quiet, very fast. Hands on my thighs, breath on a short leash, I stare at the front door and count to 5 like a man about to pick a lock on his own life. The front door sits shy of closed, a quiet inch that feels like an invitation or a warning. I ease it open and the hallway answers me. Bare floors, long echo, the kind of hush that makes every step sound guilty. From the back of the house, a thin strip of light leaks across the carpet, bright as a blade. It's the bedroom. My chest starts its own drumline, hard and messy. I tell it to calm down. It doesn't listen. I move slow, past the frames on the wall, past our frozen smiles, until I can see her shadow against the far side of the room, shoulders hunched, head bent, phone to her ear. The light makes a halo around the door jamb. I stop just outside it, close enough to smell her shampoo, far enough to pretend I'm not doing what I'm doing. My palm flattens on the cool paint. My other hand trembles against my thigh. Air feels thin, the way it does right before a storm breaks. I hear nothing at first, just my pulse and the small electric hum of a charger. Then her voice threads out of the room, so soft I almost miss it. A whisper, careful and broken, shaped for someone who isn't me. I lean toward the crack of light, breath held like a held note. "Hey," she says, barely air. "Can you talk?" I freeze, then press closer to the frame, every dumb movie I've ever watched pouring into my head at once. Him. Of course it's him. I picture a voice I've never heard, a face I'll hate on sight. My fingers curl against the wood. My hand shakes hard enough to thrum. I'm close enough now to catch the tiny hitch in her breath, the sob she's trying to swallow. "I don't know what to do," she whispers, and the floor tilts. "He's been so distant." Distant. The word hits like a thrown tool. I can feel my jaw locking, the part of me that wants to argue with every fact I created. I inch forward until my ear almost kisses the hinge. Knuckles white, heart doing double time, I wait for proof I can use. I want a name. I want a reason to end this without looking back. There's a pause, 10 miles of it. Then her voice comes again, steadier, like she's jumped and decided to keep falling. "I can't keep this from him." The sentence lands and explodes in me. Keep this from him. Secret. Hidden. the kind of thing you bury and hope never grows. I feel the anger rise slow and hot, the way sap climbs a tree. I draw a breath so deep it hurts, fingers closing over the knob. Enough. I'm done bleeding in the hallway. I pull my shoulders square and brace to blow the door wide. I tighten my grip on the knob, ready to blow my life open, and then her voice cuts through the crack, small and steady. "Mom, I'm pregnant." Everything in me stops. Breath jams high in my throat. The hallway tilts. For a second, my brain goes blank white like someone yanked the cord on the world. I lean back hard and my spine finds the wall. Paint cool on my shirt. My knees forget what they're for. I slide down an inch, two, until the trim bites my calves. Pregnant. The word hangs there like a bell still ringing. My hand drops from the knob. The ring I shoved into my pocket earlier presses into my thigh. Sharp, stupid, perfectly placed to hurt. I grab it through the denim like I can hold on to something that isn't breaking. She's still talking, a whisper with edges. I hear the breath between words, the kind people use when they're trying not to cry. I stare at the floor and see the life I almost set on fire just because I wanted the pain to stop. All the proof I collected turns to ash in 1 second. My chest caves, heavy and clean. The anger goes out like a match in rain and shame rushes in to take its seat. My legs give. I sink to a crouch I can't control, forehead tipping toward the doorframe, listening, because for the first time in weeks I finally need to hear her, not my fear. "I'm scared," she says, and the softness of it opens me like a blade. "What if I'm a bad mom?" A shaky breath. "What if he's not ready? He's been so distant." Her voice wobbles, then holds. I don't know how to tell him without breaking everything. I press my palm flat to the wall to stop the spin in my head. Distant. That was me. Not some ghost man in her phone. Me. I see the last month in fast cuts. My short answers, the slammed doors, the way I turned my back when she needed a face. I thought I was building armor. I was building a wall she had to whisper over. "I want to tell him, Mom," she says, words catching. I don't want to disappoint him. I can't do this alone." The last line is small and brave, and it wrecks me. My throat burns. I swallow it down, and it scratches like gravel. This isn't a mystery to solve. It's a woman I love drowning quietly in the next room. All my detective work looks childish from here. The emails, the maps, the bills. I missed the only evidence that mattered. Fear. I slide the ring from my pocket, hold it in my fist until the edge leaves a mark. In my head, the sentence I rehearsed all night rewrites itself, not "we need to talk." "I hear you," I think, lips moving with no sound. "I'm here." I steady my breath, wipe my eyes with the back of my hand, and get ready to knock. I knock once, soft enough to take back if I have to. The latch clicks, the door opens an inch, and she looks up like a deer catching a breath. I don't give myself room to hide. "I heard you," I say. Not loud, not clever. Just true. Her eyes go wide. The phone slips from her hand and thuds on the rug. Red rims where she's been holding it together. Red nose. Red mouth pressed flat to keep from shaking. I shouldn't have listened, I add, heat rising in my face. But I did, and I'm here. 2 seconds fall between us. Long ones. The kind that hold a whole life inside. In those 2 beats I feel everything we've been. First dance, first fight, first mortgage, first time calling each other home, hang in the air like it's waiting on a verdict. She doesn't run. She doesn't scream. She just blinks, breath catching on the edge, and I see the fear that's been wearing her face. I let my hands lift and stop, open, empty. No demands, no cross-exam. "I'm sorry," I say, and the words come out cracked. "For the silence, for making you do this alone, for being miles away in the next room." Her lip shakes. A tear breaks. I step forward 1 inch, then another, slow enough to let her choose. "Michael," she says, my name sounding like a door I forgot we owned. I nod, chest tight, and reach for her hand. Her fingers meet mine, small, warm, unsure, and something in my chest unlatches. "I'm here," I tell her, and it feels like laying down a weapon. She doesn't speak. She just exhales, a shaky thread of air, and her whole body dips toward me like gravity finally got its say. I catch her. Shoulders, weight, heat. The kind of closeness you can't counterfeit. Her forehead finds my collarbone. I feel the first tear soak the cotton, then another, warmer, heavier, honest in a way words haven't been. I slide my other arm around her and pull her in until there's no room for guesses. The smell of her shampoo hits, the one I used to tease her about. It lands like a memory with a pulse. "I'm scared," she whispers into my shirt. "Me too," I admit into her hair. My throat burns and I let it. The room shrinks to heartbeat and breath, hers quickening, mine slowing to meet it, both of them trying to learn a new rhythm. "I didn't know how to tell you," she says. "You just did," I answer, and the truth of it loosens something that's been clenched for weeks. We stand there and let time do nothing. No phones, no angles, no plan, just two people not going anywhere. Her hands fist into my back, mine lock at her spine. When she finally pulls back to look at me, her eyes are still wet, but the hard edge is gone. "Okay," I say. "Together." We sit on the edge of the bed like we're meeting each other for the first time. I start because I should. I tell her about the dots on the map, the articles, the receipts, the way I turned my fear into facts and wore them like truth. I admit the short answers, the slammed doors, the way I punished her with quiet because I was too proud to say I was scared. "I built a wall," I say. "Then I blamed you for not climbing it." She takes a breath that shakes and lets it out. "I've been exhausted," she says. "Work is a mess. I keep getting sick. I didn't know how to tell you about the baby without breaking what was left." Her eyes search mine. "What if I'm a bad mom? What if you look at me and wish you had someone stronger? You felt far away and I thought, maybe you didn't want this." We trade the worst versions of ourselves and don't look away. I tell her I hated the man in the mirror. She tells me she hated the silence between us more than anything. My hand finds hers and she doesn't move. The room feels bigger when we stop defending and start telling the truth. "We both stopped listening," I say. She nods, tears bright. "So we start now." "There's something I need to do," I tell her, and we walk out to the driveway together. Night air, cool and clean. I open the truck and pull the manila envelope from the glove box, a slick, heavy thing that doesn't deserve the weight it's carried. We stand under the porch light. I break the seal. Papers slide out with their tidy little lines and boxes and endings. My name. Her name. All the easy ways to quit. I look at her. She looks at me. For once, we don't flinch. I put the first page in both hands and tear straight through the middle. The sound is sharp and honest. Another page, then another. Shreds like dead leaves pile in my palms. I can't help it. I laugh once, wet and stupid. She laughs too, a cracked little sound that turns into a sob. Back inside, I drop the scraps into the kitchen trash. The lid thumps shut, dry and final, like a door we're not walking through. She wipes her cheeks and shakes her head, smiling the way she used to, smaller but braver. "Let's start over," I say. "Let's start better," she answers. I take her hand. The house feels warm again, like it remembers us. We stand there in the soft hum and breathe the same air. Two people still here, still trying, still choosing. We sit at the table, hands still threaded from the driveway, and she opens her email like she's opening a window. "I want you to see," she says. The subject lines stack up neat, nothing dramatic. Reminders, confirmations, a life trying to be organized. She scrolls until a name pops I've only seen on a bill. Dr. Ramirez. Under it, the sender, Anna, reminder desk. "Hi Lauren, confirming your ultrasound for Friday, 10:30 a.m. Date, address, little instructions about water and arrival times. It's all so plain it breaks my heart." She slides the phone to me. "I kept thinking I'd tell you after the first scan," she says, eyes searching mine. "I wanted good news, something I could put in your hands." I breathe, slow and deep, like a man stepping off a ledge into something softer than he feared. The knot in my chest loosens until it's just a thread. I scroll once more, stare at the line that had me building walls, and feel the dumb ache of how easy it would have been to ask. Her fingers find mine under the table, small, warm, steady. "Come with me?" she asks, voice the size of a held breath. Always, I say, and mean it all the way through. We sit there with the phone between us, the quiet turning gentle, the future finally choosing a seat at our table. Later, when the house is soft and the dishes are drying, I step onto the porch and let the night hold me steady. I think about the crack in the door, the whisper on the other side, the way fear can wear a familiar face. I feel stupid for listening, grateful I did, ashamed of both, and then something simpler, thankful. I picture Mrs. Thompson's kitchen, the one we've stood in on holidays, her hands busy and her eyes kind in the way some people's eyes are a porch light. I speak into the dark like she can hear me from 2 towns over. Thank you for keeping her brave, I say, barely louder than the crickets. I should have been the net. You were. My phone feels heavy in my pocket. I pull it out and type her number, then stop. Shame pricks. Eavesdropping is ugly, even if it saved me. I erase, breathe, type again. Type. When she answers, I clear my throat and commit. Hi, Mom, I say, and the word catches, clumsy and true. It's Michael. I wanted to say thank you. She gives me that soft laugh she has, the one that forgives first. We don't talk long. We don't have to. When I hang up, I'm smiling like an idiot at the dark. Behind me, Lauren moves in the kitchen. I turn back inside with a small vow tucked behind my ribs, protect them both, and start with listening. That night, I tell her the things I was raised to swallow. I'm scared of being left. I'm scared of not being enough. I hit 42 and felt like a shelf someone forgot to dust. Useful once, now just there. Nobody taught me how to say, I'm hurt, without turning it into anger or quiet. I learned to fix things with tools, not with words. So when you pulled away, I rebuilt myself as stone. It looked like strength. It was hiding. I tell her how I kept a ledger, signs, dots on maps, bad advice dressed as wisdom, because proof felt safer than love. I tell her how I hated the mirror for not being young, lean, invincible. How the phone made me feel small. How the silence made me feel smaller. She listens with both hands wrapped around mine, steady as a dock. You don't have to be a rock, she says. You have to be here. I sit with that. The old rules creak. Something softer, braver, steps forward. I need help, I say, plain and ugly and right. I want to learn how to love you without guarding the exits. The room doesn't laugh at me. It loosens. My chest loosens. Her eyes shine without fear. I've said a lot of foolish things this month. Tonight I say the truest one I know. Strength isn't silence. We start small because small sticks. One rule, an hour after work with no screens. Phone in the basket by the fridge. We eat at the table and look at each other, not through a pane of blue light. It's awkward for 2 minutes, then not. I tell her something dumb from my day, and she laughs. Not big, but real. It lands like a light switching on. Second rule, walks after dinner with empty hands. No earbuds, no playlists to hide in. We listen to sprinklers, dogs, a kid learning to ride a bike. We talk about baby names like we're testing stones in a river, feeling which ones hold. Third rule, chargers live in the kitchen. Bedrooms are for sleep and us. At first it feels like forgetting a wallet, then it feels like breathing. I make a habit of longer hugs, 10 slow seconds, then 5 more. You can feel a person soften around second 8. I didn't know that. Now I do. There are slips, buzzes answered too fast, thumbs twitching for the old escape. We catch ourselves and start again. We choose eye contact over scrolling, touch over checking, curiosity over the cheap high of a notification. One night she snorts at a joke I barely finish, then laughs so hard she wipes her eyes with her sleeve. I laugh too. The sound fills the house the way it used to. The room is dim and kind. Machines hum like they're whispering. Lauren lies back and reaches for me, palm up, and I fit my hand into hers because that's what I should have done all along. Cold gel, a quiet apology from the tech, and then the wand finds its path. The monitor blooms in gray rivers and fog. I squint, useless, hunting for a shape that proves I deserve another chance at this life. A sound catches, soft at first, then sure, the whoosh-whoosh of a heartbeat learning how to be. It's small and fast, too brave for its size. My fingers tighten around hers. She squeezes back, a wordless yes from the only person who can give it. The tech points, gentle. A tiny light blinks on the black like a lighthouse far off. "There," she says. "That's your baby." The word baby knocks the breath from me in the cleanest way. The room blurs. I blink and let it. I think about the hallway, the door I almost tore open, the wall I built in my own chest. All of it shrinks in the sound of that heart. The future is the size of a sesame seed and somehow fills the room. A tear slips before I can catch it. I lean closer to the screen, voice low, dumb with wonder. "Hi, little one." We meet at the same booth, same battered tabletop, same fries that never stay hot. Jake lifts his chin. "You were right to check," he says, like a verdict. I shake my head. "Checking didn't save me," I answer. "Stopping the silence did. I was wrong to stop trusting." He snorts into his beer. "Trust gets you played." "Maybe," I say, "but suspicion almost got me divorced." I tell him about the clinic, the heartbeat, the way the house felt different when we put the phones down and actually looked at each other. I tell him I used his words like armor and it turned me into stone. I kept bleeding anyway. He leans back, thinking, "Back. So what now?" "Boundaries," I say. "No more advice that makes me smaller. If I come to you, it's not for gasoline. It's to cool off the fire." I hold his eye. "I'm learning how to stay. It's harder than leaving." He rolls the glass between his palms. "You sure about this?" "I'm sure about her," I say, "and about the man I want to be." The sentence surprises me with how steady it feels. I lay a 10 on the table and stand. He nods once, not happy, not mad, just hearing me. At the door, I turn back and make it plain, clean, and final. I'm choosing my marriage. Back home, I stand in front of the bathroom mirror I've avoided for weeks. Same soft middle pushing at cotton. Same gray creeping along the temples like frost that isn't going anywhere. But the eyes looking back aren't the hollow ones from a month ago. There's light in them. Tired, yes, but pointed forward. I lean in until the glass fogs my breath and say it out loud so I can't take it back. Listen. Stay. Love. I grab a sticky note and write the words in block letters, pin it to the corner of the frame where I'll have to see it every morning and before I go to sleep. I think about my dad's rules and how they made me quiet when I should have been brave. I think about the heartbeat on the screen, how it shrank every lie I told myself. I wash my face, slow, cold water, clean towel, a rhythm that feels like starting over without making a speech about it. In the drawer is the ring I took off to punish both of us. I pick it up and it's heavier than I remember, like it soaked up the month we almost didn't make it. I slide it back onto my finger and the circle leaves a warm pulse on the skin it forgot. The man in the mirror smiles, not wide, real. That night the house smells like roasted chicken and buttered corn, something simple that makes a room feel honest. We eat slow, not to stretch time, just to be in it. The TV is off. Piano drifts from my phone on the counter, soft notes that know when to stop. Lauren leans into my shoulder between bites, and the weight of her is a language I remember. After the plates, we sit with a notebook open to a list of names. We test them on our tongues, cross some out, circle others, laugh at the ones that sound like troublemakers. She suggests one that used to be my grandmother's. I tell her a story. She tells me one back. The kind of conversation you only have when nobody's guarding exits. Her hand finds mine on the couch. The music settles into the walls. The kind of quiet you can hear yourself trust in. I press my palm to her belly and say, "Hey you," like I'm greeting a neighbor I want to know. She covers my hand with hers. We wait. A second. Two. Then a tap from under her skin. Light. Certain. Like someone knocking politely from the inside. We both freeze, and then grin like kids. Tears show up without asking. We keep our hands there, not saying anything, listening to a future that just announced itself. Rain again. Same windshield, same slow drum, but the cab feels different. I sit in the truck and look at the dash where our wedding photo leans, two idiots grinning under paper confetti. The glove box is light now, no envelope, no clean exit pretending to be mercy. I touch the plastic frame with my thumb and let my shoulders drop for the first time in weeks. One long breath, the kind that doesn't hurt on the way out. I think about the hallway, the door, the whisper that reset my heart. I think about the sound in that dark room, whoosh whoosh, and how a heartbeat the size of a fingertip made every ugly story in my head fall apart. I think about the word always, how it's smaller than it sounds, and how you have to rebuild it one plain choice at a time. Wipers swipe, pause, swipe, streetlight on wet pavement. Somewhere inside that house, a woman I almost lost is rinsing dishes, and a future I almost threw away is practicing being real. I put the keys in my pocket and say the promise out loud so I can't dodge it later. I'll listen. I'll stay. I'll love. Sometimes silence isn't distance. Sometimes fear looks like betrayal. Love is staying long enough to understand. If this hit close, if you've stood where I sat, comment "been there." And if you want the rest of this story, the hard parts and the good ones, stick around. We're just getting started.